It's very rare. It has happened over the 60-year history of jet travel, but in almost every case, with very few exceptions, wreckage or the airplane itself are eventually found, and in almost every case, the recorders are eventually found and recovered.
And could a plane just disappear from radar? I mean, could a plane have flown undetected for another 4 hours?
Ground-based air traffic control radar only extends about 200 miles beyond the shoreline. So over open water where there is no radar coverage, it could fly undetected for an extended period of time.
Is your sense that this might have happened in this case?
It's very early. We have hardly any information or real hard evidence or data, but there is some indication that there are some primary or basic radar returns that might be correlated with this flight that indicate it headed to the southwest and perhaps continued in that direction.
I mean, they're talking about the Indian Ocean now as a search ground. Is it possible that the plane landed somewhere else undetected?
Again, absent data, we would simply be speculating, but that is theoretically possible.
What is the first response of a pilot? Would you contact somebody? Would you try and connect with the ground?
In spite of what many think, that actually is not the first thing, or even the second thing, or sometimes even the third thing that a pilot would normally do. We have a very clear set of priorities. In fact, we call them simply aviate, navigate, communicate, in that order. That makes sense when you realize that someone outside the airplane, aside from perhaps calling out rescue forces or telling you where you are if you were uncertain of it, really couldn't provide much other assistance to you. It's up to the pilots in the cockpit to ultimately be able to solve the problem that they're facing.
So just give us a sense of, during the miracle on the Hudson, aviate came first, navigate. How long was it before you communicated your position to those on the ground?
It was probably 25 or 30 seconds after the bird strike and thrust loss. So a lot happened in those 25 or 30 seconds. In fact, the entire time from the thrust loss until we had landed was only 208 seconds. And so the time was compressed. The workload was extraordinarily high. In fact, it was so high that my first officer, Jeff Skiles, and I did not have time even to have a conversation about what had just happened.
Tell me what you think of the way that this investigation is being handled so far by the Malaysian authorities.
It's complicated in a number of ways. The aircraft was manufactured in the United States. The engines were manufactured in Great Britain, I think. The airline is based in Malaysia. Air traffic controllers were involved from Malaysia and Vietnam. It's an international effort. I'm not terribly surprised that there is some confusion or some disagreement about facts when there are so few facts.
And we know that the Americans are now involved in the investigation. Warships, we're told, have been deployed to the Strait of Malacca. If you were leading this investigation or in charge, where would you be looking? What would you be doing now?
Well, from the reports I've seen, I think one of the most promising avenues is to look at the primary radar indications that were recorded by some of the Malayan sites and see if there was in fact a turn to the southwest and see what direction it went and begin looking in that direction, which I believe some of the search pattern indicates the Malaysians have already done.